Hi everyone and welcome back to the Construction Studies Foundation Detail series. In this video we're going to look at the timber frame foundation, a foundation detail used to support timber frame walls which are becoming increasingly popular in modern construction. Just like before, I'll explain what it is, when it's used, the main advantage and disadvantages, and then I'll show you how to draw it step by step using the animated PowerPoint. Our learning intention for this video is to describe and draw a timber frame foundation showing all key components clearly and accurately to a scale 1:10. Our success criteria are to be able to identify the main parts of a timber frame foundation, explain how it differs from a concrete block wall foundation, explain an advantage and disadvantage, and produce a neat, accurate 1:10 drawing of the detail. A timber frame foundation is very similar in layout to a strip foundation, but the wall structure above it is made of timber panels instead of concrete blocks. The foundation itself is still a concrete strip foundation, but the wall that sits on top is a timber frame wall, usually supported on a sole plate and bottom rail to keep the timber above ground level and protected from moisture. One main advantage of the timber frame construction is that it's lightweight and quicker to build, with much of the structure prefabricated off-site. It also has excellent insulation potential, which helps reduce energy use when properly insulated. However, one key difference between timber frame and concrete block construction is their thermal mass. Timber frame walls have a low thermal mass, meaning they heat up quickly when the heating is turned on, which is great for comfort and energy efficiency. But because timber doesn't store heat as well, the house also cools down quickly once the heating is turned off. By comparison, concrete block walls, like those built on traditional strip foundations, have high thermal mass, so they take longer to heat up, but once warm, they hold and release heat slowly, helping maintain a steady indoor temperature. So when would you use a timber frame foundation? They are typically used in modern, energy-efficient homes where speed of construction and good insulation are priorities, and where the lightweight wall systems are being installed. As always, just be sure to divide these dimensions by 10. So we're going to start off with our traditional strip foundation. Because the wall is a little bit thinner, the foundation is also going to be slightly thinner as well. The overall dimensions for this reinforced foundation is 900 by 300. Secondly, you'll notice here that the wall structure is going to be slightly different. We're going to have our external leaf just here with our 3 blocks, and then we have thicker blocks on the internal leaf. These dimensions are 215 by 115. On the outer side, we're going to draw in our ground floor, and then on the inside, we're going to draw in our 150 by 150 hardcore. Next, we're going to draw in our external leaf here, and you'll notice that these are blocks. Secondly, on the inside, we're going to draw in our concrete block, and you'll notice these two timber sections here. This one down here on the bottom is known as our 150 by 75 sole plate, and the one on the top is our 150 by 50 bottom rail. On top of these sits our 150 by 50 vertical stud, and this is highly insulated. On top of our hardcore, we have got our sand blinding. On top of the sand blinding, we have our 30 insulation, and then we have our 100 insulation on top of our sand blinding, and then followed by our 150 concrete subfloor. On top of our concrete subfloor sits our 25 flooring, and then on the inside we have got our 12 render, and on the exterior we also have our 18 render. You'll see that there are a couple of differences in this foundation to others. First of all, we have got our standard damp-proof membrane, or our DPM, or our radon barrier, which prevents radon gases that generate within the foundation penetrating up into the household dwelling. Secondly, we have our damp-proof course, or our DPC, which prevents capillary action, where moisture travels up from the foundation into the blocks, and it prevents damp and rot. Here in purple, you can see that we have got our anchor strap. An anchor strap is a strap that securely fixes the timber frame wall to the blockwork or the concrete foundation, preventing uplift or movement. Next, we have our breather membrane here, which is highlighted in blue. The breather membrane is a protective, water-resistant layer placed outside of the sheathing material that allows moisture vapor to escape from the inside of the wall while stopping rain or wind from getting inside. I mentioned the sheathing material, and that is this small little section here behind the breather membrane. The sheathing material is a rigid board such as OSB or plywood fixed to the outside of the timber frame to provide strength, stability, and a surface for attaching other layers. And then lastly, highlighted in yellow here, we have got our 550 gauge vapor check, or our vapor control layer. It is a thin membrane placed on the warm side of the insulation inside the wall to stop indoor moisture from passing into the structure and causing condensation. Once that's all drawn, then we're just going to label all of the components associated with the timber frame foundation. When you have that complete, your drawing should look something similar to this. You'll notice that the timber frame foundation is in the center of the page, and I have everything annotated with all the arrows pointing to the corresponding components of the foundation. In the right hand side, we came across a good few new keywords such as breather membrane, sheeting material, vertical stud, gauge vapor check, anchor strap, so on and so forth. Just make sure to pop them in the right hand side there. There was a lot of new material covered in this video, so let's do a recap before we finish. Our learning intention was to describe and draw a timber frame foundation of a scale 1 to 10. Our success criteria were to identify the main parts, explain how it differs from a concrete block foundation, and draw it accurately to scale, and also identify an advantage and a disadvantage. We learned that the timber frame foundations are lightweight and quick to build, but because timber has low thermal mass, these houses heat up and cool down quickly. Concrete block walls, on the other hand, have a high thermal mass. They take longer to heat, but retain the heat for longer, giving a steadier indoor temperature. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.